Well, hello and welcome and welcome and hello. Good morning. My name is Stock Karen. Danny Deals has the day off today. Hurricane Lopez is here as a supervising producer. We would like to talk with you about Gamida Cell Limited, ticker symbol GMDA. Guys, Gamida just came out with their earnings report. Bit of a miss on earnings per share, but I don't think that's really the critical element. The critical element was they were trying to onboard 10 to 15, I believe, of the around 70 transplant centers in the United States by the end of 2023. And their earnings report and business update indicated that they are um, basically far ahead of schedule. They've already onboarded 12 centers and they have another 8 in process. So they're basically up to 20 centers being onboarded or already onboarded. And then, so it looks like they're going to have at least 20 or more by the end of the year. Now, cash is an issue. The company's saying, they have enough cash to get into Q2 2024. I'm not really buying that. I think they really have enough cash just to get through the end of the year. And then at that point, it'll be like, desperation, fire sale offering kind of thing. We don't want to get to that point. Um, Obviously, it would be a lot better to get a partner or a buyout or a money raise now while they're not in a position of complete desperation. You get a much better deal. But getting down under 1 year, well under 1 year of cash runway, is just never really prudent. But I don't think they've had a lot of choices there. The new CFO is just coming on board. Um, so, you can't really say she's responsible for the financial condition of the company, but it is what it is, guys. They're either going to need a partner, a buyout, or they're going to need to raise money to get Omisurge into, wide distribution and really start bringing in revenues for the company. Now, this sort of perfect storm of this company with an FDA approved product with really no competition, this kind of tight defined market, this massive 300 plus $1,000 per treatment price that payers and Medicare have already basically agreed to pay. I don't know the exact amount Medicare agreed to, but whatever the case, guys, each treatment brings in a massive, chunk of revenue for such a small company. So, you're talking 3 treatments is $1 million in revenue. So as you bring on, 20, um, they didn't document any sales in this past ER, so any actual revenue sales of the product. Um, so guys, the process is still in its infancy. Yes, they are onboarding the centers, but we're not yet seeing actual sales from dosed patients. So this is going to require some patience to see the patients, and it's going to basically require management to deliver on some type of deal. That's what's needed here is wide and immediate distribution. There's a lot of money to be made. You're basically having 15 cents hold up a dollar. The only missing ingredient here for GMDA is money. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would like to take a look at this article that appeared in Seeking Alpha, August 14, 2023. Gamida Cell, The Treacherous Path to Profitability by Galzis Research. I think I've read a couple of this author's articles, but I'm not super familiar with it. But it's actually a good article. I would very much suggest you read it. Basically says Omisurge shows faster neutrophil recovery, and you guys know all this. You guys know a hell of a lot more than I do about the science behind this drug. But if you'd like to read it and you don't know a lot about it, or you're not a science person or a medical person, it gives a really simple and good explanation. So it's the rare small cap biotech that has an actual approved product on the market. It represents a huge market opportunity. It's going to be huge. But there's a good reason why they continue to live as a small to near micro cap company, and that's cash. They're running low, and that raises the risk quite a bit. There is a big opportunity for the value investor, but I would be cautious about going all in. So they go into the pipeline overview, what Omisurge is, why It speeds neutrophil recovery as twice as quickly as a standard of care, median 10 days versus 20.5 days. So that gives the patient almost 2 entire weeks of protection from serious infections, which is a key in the post transplant recovery period. This led to reduced hospital stays in the phase 3 study, as well as fewer bacterial and fungal infections. And it just goes into why this is important for underserved communities, how 39% of the patients in these studies were non white, and they tend to have less donors, minorities. So, it's very important there. Um, and they just go into the other pipeline, GDA 201, aplastic anemia. So they have more in the pipeline than just Omisurge. Obviously, because they are short on cash, they have to focus on commercialization and revenue generation. So in the Q2 filing, GMDA reported cash and cash equivalents 54 million, total assets rising to 58 million. This was set against a net loss of 32 million. The company has increased its financial and general admin costs from the same time 2022, and you can see that on this graph, guys. 3 months ended June 30. The loss was 18 million in 2022 and 32 million 2023, and 6 months ended it was almost 40 million and 52 million. But guys, they're ramping up, spending a lot of money to basically get this product out to market, and that costs money. You have to build up a sales team, you have to build up distribution channels, you actually have to get boots on the ground to move this product, and that costs money. That's just the way it is. You can't build a sales team and national distribution even with a limited number of sites for free. It just doesn't work that way. Now they're not spending a ton of money. Um, R&D is 9 million, commercial is 4 million, general and admin is 6 million for the quarter. So, you know, it's not it's not a massive amount of expense for a bigger company, a company with funding, a company with good credit facilities, a company with an existing sales team, a company, a bigger company, a partner would have a lot of this stuff in place. So it's very expensive to build an organization from the ground up and scale that from 0 to 100. You can't go 0 to 100 real quick without a ton of cash. So that's just the way that is. But that's why, again, this thing is so ripe for a buyout or partner for me. The money is on the table. The partner or the buyer knows they're going to make this money. They know the product works. They know there's no competition. They know how many patients they can reach. They know what's going to be paid. So this just doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that they brought in this new CFO, that management, there have to be discussions, there have to be negotiations. Now, I don't know how far apart the company and any potential suitors might be at this time. But to think that there's no interest in this drug and this company is just stupid. Like the hard part was getting the drug developed and getting FDA approval. Now, distribution and sales, that stuff costs money, but it's not the same as the science of making a life-saving drug. Sales is sales, guys. I can do sales. Danny Deals could sell this thing, and I ain't no scientist. That's not what sales is. Like, sales is, again, boots on the ground, getting it out there. It's basically building a structure. It's not the same as like the super cerebral work of developing pharmaceuticals and saving lives. It's more sort of nuts and bolts, X's and O's, developing a good plan and just executing it. But it's not rocket science, guys. It just costs money and requires somebody with some good operations skill to execute the plan. So anyway, strengths and risks. The cash is definitely running out quickly. Getting past the losses is going to be a very challenging race. Obviously, the company's biggest strength, the product they have currently building out, the market for this product is huge. In 2021, there were almost 4,300 cord blood transplant reported to the CIBMTR, which I assume is the network or organization in charge of these transplants and putting the donors and patients together and such. I don't know what that stands for, so thank God I don't have to try to pronounce those big words. Potential market size is just above 1.4 billion per year, which has essentially no competition from other companies at this time. Per the Q2 filing, 20 of the nation's 70 transplant centers are on board or in process, meaning a significant chunk of these cord blood transplants are going to be eligible for Omasurge. However, there's a very serious cash problem. The most optimistic projection I can make is that GMA can continue to run into 2024. They're saying Q2 2024. Again, I'm not buying that either. To date, the company's not disclosed any sales. Long story short, I think we're looking at another round of dilution tied to a share offering to help them make it to a few more quarters, likely Q3. The earnings timeline will be the first opportunity to see real earnings from Omasurge, and if the news is good, then the company will attempt to improve its balance sheet to carry itself through 2024, not just into it. Bottom line, GMDA is in an awkward position as it sits on the holy grail of aspirational biotechs, a marketed product. Now the dog has caught the car and they have to start dragging it back home. The upside potential is enormous, but I think there's substantial risk for someone entering right now. The second half of 2023 will be an important indicator and possibly an inflection point in value. I think the company is worth a consider to the small investor, but I would consider dividing that into a buy now or soon and then waiting until after the third quarter. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with the strategy of starting out small right now and sort of seeing how things develop. The only risk there is that you do get some massive news in terms of a buyout partnership situation, um, which could send the stock up, 2x, 3x, whatever overnight. So you might miss out if you just start with a very small position and build after Q3. But guys, I can't really argue with anything in this article. Obviously, old Galsis is a lot smarter than old Danny Deals. Or wait, I'm stock Karen today. Whoever came in today, whoever woke up is here. Guys, another just bit of news. Vernon Bernardino, who is, I've seen a lot of his calls. This guy's very, very good. He's with HC Wainwright, 4.5-star analyst. He has a good track record then, and he just reiterated a buy rating, increasing the price target to $11. And I also saw this guy from Needham, Gil Blum. I'm not sure what his record is. He's a 0-star analyst, seemed to have 0 ratings, but I also noted that there was a reiteration, I believe. Gamida Cell receives a buy rating from Needham and Company. So this is August 16th, guys, and they currently have a $6 price target on the stock. So they reiterated the buy. HC Wainwright boosted their price target, as I just said, from 5 to 11 and gave the company a buy rating. And basically everybody on this one is a buy, guys. Of all these are all pretty big investment, respectable. Piper Sandler, Oppenheimer, Needham, JMP. JMP is a little sketchy sometimes with their ratings. HC Wainwright, but guys, I mean, 5 solid buys. You have 700. The top rated analyst here is, or Edward. This guy might be, but he's 300%. That's the lowest. So you're looking at an average of like 500 percent, 600% upside on average, and a buy rating. If you go over to Ortex, you can take a look at the short interest on the stock, which is, we'll take a look at the overview. The short interest of the free float is only 4.45%. Free float on loan. You guys can take a look at all this. Shares on loan, days to cover, cost to borrow. It's basically remained fairly flat, but days to cover have come way down, leading me to believe there's more short-long activity. Utilization and cost to borrow remain fairly high at 36 and 19% respectively. In any case, guys, Gamida today is... it's Topper time check is August 16, 2023. It's 8:20 a.m. out here in Los Angeles. 11:28 a.m. out in NYC. Hope it's a beautiful day. Wherever you are, Gamida is essentially just flat on the day. It's been sort of doing a little weird barcoding thing, but hugging $1.25. And volume is moderate at 657,000 shares. So the short, guys, is not huge, but it could be a lot more significant, I think, than people are letting on. I don't think the true short interest on this stock is less than 5%. The cost to borrow is way too high, and the utilization is way, way too high for that to actually be realistic. And so releases quarterly earnings. We saw that one. Buy at HC Wainwright. They have a Form 4 security. He owns 4,000 ordinary shares. Acquisition of, so director bought 4,000 shares. That's about, $5,000 worth of shares. Okay, big whoop. I own, many, many, many times that many shares, so doesn't really impress me. As Shania Twain said, that don't impress me much. In any case, I don't really know what's going on. Yeah, missed by 13 EPS. You guys can read the 10Q for yourselves if you want. It's boring, and I don't really like reading through those online and zooming in on the text and all that stuff because I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about anyway, and I don't really care. I just believe they have enough cash to continue operations for probably the next 6 months. This next quarter, they're going to prove what these sales are going to look like. It's getting more and more likely. I think it makes more and more sense for buyout or partner on this drug. There's a hell of a lot of money to be made here, guys, and they're just leaving it on the table, just for a little bit of cash. That's the only missing ingredient. You need somebody with sales and distribution to just ramp this thing up and get it out the door. And patients need it. The transplant centers are on board, the payers are on board. It's just a matter of, a company with money and structure can do in 6 months what it's going to take GMDA a couple of years to do. And, people are going to die in the interim because of it. So, doesn't make a lot of sense to me, guys. I hope we see some movement. I hope we see some news. Again, really good article over in Seeking Alpha. I would suggest you read it. Stock remains flat on the day on moderate volume, guys. It's Gamida Cell Limited. Ticker symbol GMDA. It is a beautiful Wednesday. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let me know what you think about the stock, the ER, the future for this thing down in the comments. And I will talk to you again soon. Appreciate you tuning in to Poco Moss, where we try to give you just a little bit more. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.